tensions escalating in Zimbabwe. What we saw a bit earlier on today, the official opposition, the CCC, holding a press briefing which was disrupted this morning. And we'll show you those visuals in just a moment. In fact, here they are. That, of course, being the spokesperson of the CCC, Promise Dalubule Mkhwanazi. Let's take a listen just very briefly to what took place there. And in just a moment, we'll show you now a warrant of arrest that has been issued by the Zimbabwe Republic Police for him. This relating to the Harare Magistrates Court on the 22nd of April 2020 for defaulting court proceedings. Let's just take a listen for a second there.
Who are you? Why did you take our paper? Yes.
Who is the other one?
Who are you?
Who are you?
No. Don't attempt to be dumb. Can you please tell us who you are?
Who you are?
Who sent you?
Who sent you? Who sent you? Who sent you?
Why are you doing this? Who sent you?
I am popular.
Huh?
All right, these visuals, of course, coming from the CCC media briefing, the official opposition in Zimbabwe. That press briefing was due to begin this morning. As you can see, those disruptions taking place. Those visuals brought to us by our correspondent in Zimbabwe, Ephert Musekiwa, journalists asking that gentleman exactly who he is, who has he been sent by, why has that press briefing been disrupted. And of course, we'll show you now, following that disrupted press briefing, we'll show you on screen now a press release that was issued by the Zimbabwe Republic Police, and that press statement saying that an enforcement for a warrant of arrest issued by the court against Promise Dalubule Mkhwanazi. Now, Promise Dalubule Mkhwanazi is, of course, the new opposition CCC spokesperson, Promise Mkhwanazi, and he was the one that was carrying the document in his hand before he was due to address that press conference. Now, this press statement saying that the Zimbabwe Republic Police confirming that the CCC spokesperson, the new opposition CCC spokesperson, Promise Mkhwanazi, is being sought in connection with a warrant of arrest issued by the Harare Magistrates Court on the 22nd of April 2020. Now, this is 2023. This is when the election is taking place. They're saying for defaulting court proceedings. Promise Mkhwanazi facing incitement to commit public violence charges under Harare Central, and of course that number given there, and the Harare public prosecutor giving a reference to that as well. This press statement issued today, the 26th of August, and this is, of course, just a couple of hours after that press briefing, which was meant to be addressed, from what we could see, by the new spokesperson for the CCC, Promise Dalubule Mkhwanazi, that being disrupted. Let's get the latest now from Ephert Musekiwa, SABC News correspondent in Zimbabwe. Ephert, so much that is transpiring this morning. Let's start, of course, first with that press briefing of the CCC that was disrupted. Give us the latest there. What happened?
Well, as you rightly said, Griselda, during the middle of Promise Mkhwanazi's brief, a couple of gentlemen just walked to the podium, grabbed his papers, and they were actually trying to grab him away. That's when journalists reacted and tried to, they were all shell-shocked, and we were trying to find out who these gentlemen were and what they were doing at a press conference. And they didn't identify themselves. All of them who just kept mum, not a single word, but we followed them through, and they are just outside the venue of the press conference. They had about 4 vehicles, 3 double cab trucks, which were all unmarked, and only one single vehicle had number plates on it. They quickly dashed off, got into their vehicles and, drove off without saying a single word. One of them, unfortunately, was caught in skirmishes with journalists, but nothing major did transpire. Immediately after that, the Promise and the rest of the CCC team did manage to address the media, but they did it hurriedly because they were not sure what would transpire. They just had a brief update of what's been happening and what they are finding for this election. So now when we were just about to leave the venue where the press conference was disrupted, that's when we received the notification, the press release from the police, and they've also sent it on their Twitter to say that there is a warrant of arrest for Promise Mkwananzi. So putting two and two together, it might seem that these were actually state agents who had come to arrest or who failed to arrest Promise Mkwananzi at a press conference here in Harare.
Now, this is very interesting because as this press conference was due to get underway, one could only suppose that the CCC would want to raise issues that they're dissatisfied about regarding the election and also Ephert. Any indication at this stage, somebody must know who these individuals are. Anything circulating through the media in Zimbabwe at this point about who these people are, or is it still wild speculation?
Well, I think for the first time in a while, we actually did manage to see their faces.
Yes.
From the visuals that I sent to you earlier on, you can quickly identify more than 4 of those individuals. So I'm sure by the end of the day, most of them would have been identified as to who they really are, and if they are state agents or if they are just I don't know, maybe because the talk around the press conference was that this notorious organization that everyone, that including the observers, has been talking about, this FAS, Forever Associate Zimbabwe, that was involved in all these activities around the elections, might actually be behind what's transpired today. But so far, there is no official confirmation, or no one has really come forward to say these people belong to this organization. We are still trying to identify, still trying to ascertain who they work for and what was their agenda, apart from that statement by the police, which we are assuming that maybe they might have been state agents who had come to actually effect the arrest, which is supported by that press statement by the police.
Ephert, no one was harmed, I guess, in that press briefing. Has there been any further correspondence from the CCC about what transpired this morning? Obviously, this is raising concerns, given that I could only suppose CCC was going to address some issues relating to their unhappiness about the election.
Well, apart from what they said during their hurried press conference afterwards, they said that it's very unfair that other parties, in particular ZANU-PF, was allowed or is allowed to hold press conferences and address the media, just like they did yesterday, airing their grievances and their concerns, whatever they were talking about, what they felt was unfair, an unfair report from the SADC observers. They say that they should also be given an equal chance, since this is an election and everyone should have the right to vote themselves. They say they are going to comment further once they have more information as to what really was transpired and who really was behind it. So they didn't dwell too much into what transpired or even comment further. Safe to say that they are going to try and investigate and also update the media once they have a concrete position.
So what is interesting here, though, Ephert, is that the CCC spokesperson, Promise Mkwananzi, was holding a press briefing. There's no talk of an illegality to anyone holding a press conference. Why is this warrant of arrest now being issued for him, whereas there had been a disruption to their press briefing from what we see in terms of the visuals? And also quite notably is that this particular warrant of arrest, this was effected was it on the 22nd of April 2020? Just correct me if I'm wrong or if I'm reading this incorrectly. The statement from the Zimbabwe Republic Police speaks about Promise Mkhwanazi being sought in connection with the warrant of arrest that was issued on the 22nd of April 2020 for defaulting court proceedings. But now the statement has been released just hours after he's holding this press briefing, which was disrupted. So what is the talk in Zimbabwe about that at this stage? This is for incitement to commit public violence. But this was an arrest, a warrant of arrest that was issued by the Harare Magistrates Court on the 22nd of April 2020. Am I reading this right? Do my eyes see this correctly?
You are reading it correctly, Griselda. The warrant of arrest was issued in 2020, but according to the police, I'm sure they said they had not effected it, so they are now effecting that warrant of arrest. That's the first, I think, the first fact that we need to establish. The second fact that you also need to remember is that Promise used to lead an organization called Tajamuka. It was one of these youthful organizations that was revolting against the government back in the day during the times of former president, the late Robert Mugabe. Yes. And he was always an anti-government critic, or holding demonstrations in the streets, and really was very vocal about his, anti-government stance. So he was arrested quite a number of times during those days and appeared in court so many times. Now, to have him or to have a warrant of arrest issued in 2020 that he disrupted court proceedings and being effected now is actually raising questions just to say, why had they not done it all the while? Why wait till a point that now that he's been appointed the spokesperson and of the official opposition? We don't know what the outcome of the results will still maintain if the CCC remains the official opposition or they'll become the ruling party. We're still yet to find out once the results are announced. But he becomes the official spokesperson of the opposition, giving him the limelight and taking to the forefront. Now that he's in the limelight, authorities now are jittery. They are not sure, and now they are actually issuing out a warrant of arrest for him. I think, if we go by history, this is how the state has always dealt with opposing voices, has always they have dealt with these opposition figures, that they will arrest them or they will issue warrant of arrest and only effect them when these opposition activists try to air out their grievances or try to raise concerns over certain issues. Then they will then arrest them or issue out these warrant of arrest.
And Ephert, this is certainly concerning because already with tensions, relating to whatever possible outcome would be of these elections, the observers that were deployed to Zimbabwe, raising a number of concerns, including the late arrival of the ballot papers to various locations. Now, this disruption of this particular press briefing that was due to take place, and now the timing of the release of this or enforcement of this warrant of arrest for the new spokesperson of the CCC. How is this likely to fuel tensions even further in Zimbabwe, even way ahead of what we're expecting would be an announcement, I guess, in the coming days of what the outcome of this election is?
It's interesting, Griselda. What I can tell you that right now the situation is calm. You can sense the tension, but there is no activity on the ground. People are anxious. The central business district is not as busy. It's not as populated as it would normally be on a Saturday afternoon. A lot of people stayed away from the central business district today. It's not as busy. The roads are not as busy. People are anticipating and waiting for the results. And all these activities that are happening, I'm sure to the citizens, they point to or they actually confirm their fears that they might actually be there might actually be attempts to try and subvert the actual outcome of this election, because you also see the security has been heightened around the command center where the election results are going to be announced. It's barricaded by a lot of police detail. There's a lot of security. They are armed. The place is just heavily protected by security. And it's building. You can see that everyone is sensing that there might be tension once the results are announced. There might be confrontation once these results are announced. It's really a tense situation. No one really knows how it will pan out or how it will end come once the results have been announced.